Well, thanks for staying with us at this point in time on the show. We're welcome to join us on the conversation as we deliberate on the tax reform bills. A tax analyst and expert, Mr. Philip Orji. Good morning to you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Well, good morning to you. It's wonderful
Thank
to
you for
have you join
having,
us here
having me again.
in the studio. I see you are very excited, Mr.
Very
Philip.
much.
Bright color you are wearing there, and your countenance is bright too. Could this have been related to the recent adoption of the tax reform bills by the members of the House of Representatives?
Accurately.
All right. Well, let's first things first. We hear that the members of the House of Reps have rejected the increment of VAT to 15% while maintaining the 7.5% that has always been the status quo. We also saw a rejection of the inheritance tax law bill and, many other things that you had spoken about on this particular program. And it seems like the entire committee's resolutions have tilted towards your own recommendations.
Thank you again. And I must applaud this particular station. We're talking about Nigeria.
Yes.
There's no personal interest or I don't know how people see it, but then I'm happy. Even those that have a little conflict with me got to know that I'm not fighting anybody. I thank the Nigerian National Assembly. The both arms of the National Assembly, the lower and upper house, we are talking about the good of this country.
Yes.
The first time I came to this station, I said, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu have brought a very good opportunity for us. It's now left for us to do the right thing. For him to come after 1960 to come and talk about how to reform our tax, it's supposed to be restructure and reform. But they just say reform and fiscal policy, which is not bad yet. But the restructure is the meaning of devolving power to have a collector, and which is what I am advocating for. Eventually, they asked me to send my recommendations to the Committee of Finance in the National Assembly. All right?
Yeah.
I did. I wrote, even they say reduce because it's too bogus.
Yes.
I have to cut down to the content of what they are asking for. Eventually, the governors that I sent memo to said they accepted what I said. They said don't add money for the 7.5% of difficult to pay. That even adding more money, whatever swallow the money you add, swallow the first one, we still swallow whatever 30% you are trying to add. So it's better to charge a low tax, but let there be efficiency, transparency, and accountability, which they have adopted. Other things that they did that I want to enjoy this morning and tell people is that somebody to come and compound our operation by saying that the federal level will take care of custom collection of tax is wrong.
Or duties.
Those, whatever they say is wrong, because if you say you are going to copy, like I told him, if you say you are going to copy UK, which is monarchy, but even if you are going to copy UK, they still have House of Common Treasury Committee, which means the accountability side of it. If you want to copy UK, copy it in totality. He refused to listen to that.
Well, copying UK in what sense?
In totality, like now, our emergency revenue and custom is what I will intend to do here, which is not bad for them, but the volatility of Nigeria. Whatever you are doing in tax, you check the environment.
Why exactly is it good for them and bad for
us? Look, the emergency revenue and custom, we are copying America. We are copying America. America have separate custom that operate and collect whatever tax that relate to that area. But they are not the same relations. But the reason why somehow it is going to be difficult sometimes to operate it sometimes that when you have separate, you have to be very careful. That is even when this monitoring, inspecting, and evaluation is very important, because so that you don't collect from custom and the same collecting again with the federal revenue. This is the good thing about the Her Majesty own, because it's one man that hid it. So it will be difficult to have a double taxation something, but in all, yet I was telling him, I will call his name because he's our Oga.
And he's your friend.
Now him be my Oga, whether you like it or not. So he is the one I call him and say, even if you are going to copy the UK, which is not possible because of our situation, are you now saying that you don't know about House of Common Treasury Committee, which is the person that is inspector, that will be able to take the receipt of the tax paid to the National Assembly? We're not talking about making it to be man by one man, which is good according to him. But if you are going to be doing so let us copy UK completely by having Her Majesty Revenue and Custom and House of Common Treasury Committee, which is the one that is reporting to the National Assembly. The owners of the money is the community and the parliament. So if you are copying them, why not copy them completely? He laughed and shut down the phone. Will the conversation stop?
Now let's break this conversation down so our viewers can understand it in terms of the most recent deliberations in our own parliament.
Yeah.
In the Green Chambers yesterday, I did listen to the Chairman Committee on Finance and Tax Reforms, Honorable Abiodun Faleke, where he said that looking at October 8th, 2024, when President Bola Ahmed Tinubu presented this bill, up until yesterday, it's been 5 months of deliberation.
Yeah.
And he was assuring Nigerians that all the contentious areas have been dealt with.
Seriously.
It was also on the sharing formula of this VAT that has now been retained at 7.5%. The states are supposed to get 55%, local governments 35%. Are you okay with this sharing formula? And how does this translate to tax collections at these tiers of government from Nigerians?
Okay. First of all, in the beginning of the President Tinubu's tax reform presentation, people who are genuine in heart know it's the right thing to do. It was moving late. But when they started deliberating on it, even yesterday, the Abiodun,
Faleke,
he said he have never seen a thing that Nigerians came out and find their time to lay their voice. It's concerning the life of people. So you don't joke with that type of discussion. It's not another discussion. We're talking about our life here. So whatever thing you sign wrongly there will affect everybody, particularly the vulnerable. So now, because of this rigorous, a lot of consultations,
even to include the public hearing, it was held
I
quite
said
recently.
it was marvelous, and I love it. Because when I told the governors, if you are talking about sharing, you don't even talk about this VAT, the additional. Do you know what you are doing? Are you not caring about your people? They should stop adding anything because it won't bring money. Because Ghana was charging 17% for a long time ago. In less than 3 years now, they were able to come back because they have tax inspector that made them to start charging. They made money from tax, foreign account tax compliance, and now made them to charge 3% now. So adding money in VAT does not bring money. What brings money is accountability, which is supposed to be somebody's keeping a receipt of what is paid. It's still lacking here. And I know with our discussion today, Nigerians will not come in again to talk about let's have a tax inspector that will keep receipt. Even the person who claims he's collecting is not cheating us. Let him forget about
But
that.
keeping this receipt is more like an automated process.
Yes, but it's supposed to be in a separate office. An independent office, you keep that receipt. That is how it's done every other part of the world. So for federal land, even yesterday, I was happy. I heard them say it, but because I was shouting, they even say, cool it down now. I said, how can you make ombudsman and tax revenue, what is it called?
Collector?
No, I said revenue joint tax board.
Okay.
Joint revenue board, right?
Yes.
Just former joint tax board.
Yes.
That is still headed by federal revenue. They now were able to clear it yesterday that it's supposed to be independent. And now they now say ombudsman is independent. That the tax tribunal is independent. 3 of them now no longer. Federal revenue will not be the one sponsoring them because if you do it, they have no say. The more you allow them to be sponsored by federal revenue, you kill it, which is okay. But does not have anything to do with tax inspector because other 4th component of tax inspector is not there. 5 different departments audit, investigate, inspect, evaluate, special evaluation, the ombudsman office, which they keep, whatever they will collapse it because even in the UK they collapse it.
All this is under the first part of the bill, which is the establishment of the Nigerian Revenue Service,
Yes.
FIRS.
Yes, but
these are the components that are supposed to form the first part of that bill.
Yes, because the federal revenue, what Taiwo prepared that they rejected was that the federal revenue will see they want to give order to them. But they were able to say no because of people like my recommendation was that they should be independent, for God's sake.
And that recommendation has been adopted.
They adopt it now.
Now let's also talk about some exclusions for certain persons, because we heard on the floor of the Green Chambers that going forward, military personnel will be exempted from income tax. How commendable is this in terms of the desire to expand our tax collection nets?
Yes. What they would do, and that is even why when the invitation came, the thing is, what do we start doing from now? What's the way forward? What we have come to discuss this morning, I have not come here to complain again. The complaint have ended.
Okay.
There's no complaint. So what we are now saying, since we are going to be paying 7.5%, if I want to quote my friend, he was saying, without adding money, we will make the type of money we need to fund government operations. Now, fine. If like people like from my own group, now we win by getting 7.5% for Nigeria to pay less. But if he is right, which is the right thing to say, is that he will now tell you that government may not make the money we are expecting to do that.
Especially with this exclusion of servicemen and military personnel.
Yeah.
But if you take a look at the number of military men or servicemen in general in the country, I don't think it's a large number, significant enough to impact
the police, the Air Force, the Army, the Navy.
Is that a large number enough?
NSCDC?
Is that a large number enough to take out?
You are bothering about
to take out a large sum from the revenue, right. Total revenue collection.
It is insignificant somehow. But you are. I'm quoting you.
Yes,
you are right. But it shouldn't be an issue here. Exemption is correct.
Okay.
There should be exemption.
How about the issue of the rejection of inheritance tax? Especially, we saw a lot of fight back from most Muslims who had cited that there were provisions made in the Holy Quran with regards to inheritance tax that had already provided a payment of a certain portion of that amount to the government of any country at all, or any sort of government. Yet, within the tax reform bills, inheritance tax was supposed to gulp up 20% of the entire amount of money before disbursement of the or sharing of the inheritance after the passing of a patriarch.
Okay, let me come. I love the way they stopped that inheritance tax because we are yet to have a standard mechanism.
Why?
Of taxation.
Why?
Let me come.
Okay.
Whenever I talk, I will tell you until we have receipt of what we are paying. Nobody should go and compound our problem. What do I mean by compounding our problem? When somebody says that custom will be collected by federal, trying to bring a lot of ambiguous, you won't know where you are going to. They are only creating a room for us to be hiring experts to come and be our task, they call them consultants. There will be no need for all this, a lot of hiring people to come and do what? If you have a simplified tax that have accountability, you don't need them. Let me tell you that if you eliminate what they just stopped is okay. I'm telling you, the area they are fine. I have read it. But what do we do to get money? That's what I wanted to clear. This Nigeria need that one this morning.
Please carry on. What do we do to make money?
Look, 7.5% that we are grappling to pay is correct. The sharing formula is correct.
Yeah.
Because if you say Lagos, like the first beginning, it was a quarrel. I want to dwell on it this morning just to clarify Nigerians why it is no longer supposed to be an issue.
Yeah.
And what do I mean? Place like Lagos, in other part of the world, our former capital, now the commercial city of Nigeria, have advantage more than other states, whether they like it or not. They should know that.
Economically.
Yes, the reason is that the seaport alone is enough to make people vulnerable or to make people disenfranchised. But other places in the world that they want to apply what Taiwo and the group or the committee was trying to say, which is genuinely correct in other clans, was that if you go to Singapore, place Australia, even in Cotonou, the Cotonou seaport is not the only port they have dry ports. Where they from Cotonou seaport and take some containers through the railway to the place they call Boyko. I am an importer. I have transferred my goods from Cotonou seaport to that place before. Custom will take care of that. You don't need to even do it. To even devolve the number of conjunction in the seaport in Lagos. People go to Lagos to build their factories in Ogun State, maybe closer, try to squeeze themselves there. Then go leave Kano to build the chemical industry close to the sea so that they can access what they want to do. It may not be necessary for having an infrastructure of railway that will take all these things to that place. If crude oil can be brought through the ship, Can you not take that trailer tank? I mean, a train tanker to take cargo. To take cargo. I'm teaching you what is going to happen. What is correct.
All right, Mr. Philip. But let me also talk about.
I'm talking about sharing. If you don't allow me to land, you won't take it. Allow me.
Well, I know we will still get back to it. We'll allow you finish. But let's talk about the dry ports that you mentioned in other countries. The scenario of moving containers from the deep sea ports to the dry ports for congestion and for better efficiency. There were calls made towards this regard some couple of years ago, especially in the northern part of the country, where they feel some sort of disenfranchisement due to the fact that they do not have any water bodies that is close to the sea over there. However, there have also been complaints about the Lagos-Calabar Coastal Highway that the federal government is embarking on, citing that it is an unnecessary project, and rather, those funds should have been channeled towards creating this sort of rail line that would help with this transportation of containers from the seaports to the dry ports for better efficiency.
Thank you.
What are your thoughts?
Thank you. I will not go that side.
Please do. We want you to touch it.
You said something that does not relate to what we are doing. All this coastal highway, you are going to make me leave my stock. It's not my road. Wait.
Carry on, please.
Stay on the sharing for
Let's go. Thank you very much. Now, somebody will open mouth and say some state or governors are weak or they are not. They will say they are lazy, right? It's a bad talk. Nobody's lazy. Lagos is not wiser than anybody. But let me tell you that Dangote can build that thing in Kano with a free land. They will give him the land free. He bought it $100 million. A swamp. It's supposed to be said a fallow. He bought it. You understand? But be it as it may, Lagos is lucky, and we are lucky to even have Lagos. Some people don't have seaport. They go to borrow people's port to import their goods, and Nigeria have everything. Now, but let know somebody, that's sharing, I'm teaching that sharing. Nobody should say such a thing to the Northerners, or some of us from Ebonyi State. You can dualize, dredge waterways to take containers to smaller river ports, like the Onitsha port. It's done like that in all parts of the world. You don't need to see them on this our road that we are building every day that was spoiled, because a big truck that is carrying this type of giant articles like Caterpillar and the rest of them will tear that road into two. Most of this, maybe Dangote taking instrument to some places, you may simply use seaport to take it to that place and reduce the pressure on our roads, which is still another trouble entirely. But I'm saying sharing formula should not look that way, because if you want to say that Lagos is making more money, they should take more. Are you saying they are wiser than anybody? They are not. And I am happy the governors had me, and they that sharing formula 50%.
55%. 5%.
And whatever thing was carried out. I applaud their steps. And I equally love the way the National Assembly handled that matter. It was causing trouble, but the way people like us, because I think I spoke in fact, I was in forefront. I went and met Arewa group. They allowed me to speak, even though I'm not an Hausa man. Angabla invited me, I spoke in the Hausa circle. It's not a matter of region, tribe, or so. We are talking about the truth here, so that our yet unborn children will not die. That's number one. That is gone. You see this paying VAT 7.5%, which means the 10, 12.5, and 15 have been jettisoned.
That incremental
arrangement. The paper is trashed, which is
completely scrapped.
My fight. And
so how many years do you think that VAT will remain at 7.5%?
It will go down.
It might decline.
I think it will go down.
What's the possibility of that? What's the possibility of that?
Listen to me. Okay. I am happy this morning that this station that always asks critical questions are the one I'm talking to for the first time. Because after this passage, it was only your station that come in the night and say, I want to see you today. Because maybe you believe in a few of the things I'm saying, it may be true. So now, do you know that 25% income tax is not correct? Because the room that the committee gave for excuses that will make you not to pay tax is too much. So why not forget these reasons? That's a holiday. If you do like this, we'll give you whoever. We'll do like this, we'll give you a holiday. We'll give like this, we'll give you whoever. or incentive is not necessary. What you're supposed to do, a broad-based 15% OECD UNDP tax inspector without border, 15% international standard.
No tax
And forget
holidays,
about-
no reductions, no nothing.
And no more holiday. Let Nigeria know that they should come and fight this one now. The tax holiday drop. In short, we lose close to 7 trillion naira a year. It's not necessary now.
On tax holidays.
Yes, because some people that thing was given to because of there's no monitoring. Even if there's a reason to give few holidays, there must be tax inspector that will inspect and evaluate whether such a thing exists. People that are fake applications are more than the one that are genuine. Otherwise, somebody will not leave Nigeria like the PZ. The Liver brothers, I don't want to insult Nigeria. They leave this place and leave the holiday for us. And go to Cote d'Ivoire to produce and send all this soap. What I'm using to bath here, some of the cream will rub. I used to see it, they write it Cote d'Ivoire. Because they like to pay because they will enjoy the infrastructure to run their company and run their life. Maybe the pain of it. Do you know that no amount of incentive you give somebody that will cover the run of generator?
The cost of power.
Which means the reach a new industrialist may not actually need that
Tax waiver.
He may have wanted you to give him all these things and he pay his tax equitable. I mean, it's a tax that is fair, not charging much. 25% and you come and give room for incentive is wrong. And I'm going to beg the speaker and the Senate president to listen to that point. You don't need to go and give that type of opportunity.
Now, at the House of Reps, at the House of Reps, part of the deliberations were also on the need to remove the power of making stocks exemptions and tax waivers from the presidency. That was the position of some of the lawmakers yesterday. That powers to give this exemption be removed from the presidency.
And give it to who?
That it wasn't clearly stated, but their issue was that it be removed from the presidency.
Thank you. Do you know why? The owners of the tax revenue are the parliament and the people of the country, the community. Then this is where they are now pointing to that bill. Because National Assembly, the rep side have gone to second reading. Yeah. But because they will not mention the bill, it's a private bill, they may not be too quick to mention the bill. But when they are saying it's not supposed to come from the president, meaning that all these ministries and agencies that will give you the waiver, because federal law don't grant waiver. It goes to somebody. When they give you the thing, you come and show them, they will allow you to operate. But because people go and present a wrong, whatever thing they are doing, I know is that the fake is plenty. Now, the National Assembly that is saying that who is going to satisfy who is qualified, meaning that the tax inspector that have inspection and evaluation, we did be the one to report to them. They don't have the capacity to investigate anything federal level is doing. They don't.
Now, who has the capacity, Mr. Orji? Because you're mentioning the need for a tax revenue inspector. The bill, the first part under the establishment of the Nigerian Revenue Service, has a recommendation that 6 executive directors will be appointed by Mr. President. That's why I'm asking this question. Because it's already another key position a lot of people are looking out for on who are these 6 executive directors who would be appointed as part of the recommendation.
Based on our geopolitical zone.
Yeah,
they are still tax collectors.
Not inspectors.
No, please now. It's just on that. They just wanted to make sure that all the geopolitical zone are represented. They're just like the
equity and fairness.
Like the RAMFAC. It's like that, I know. But it's not tax inspector. It have nothing to do with tax inspector. Because I will tell you something this morning.
Sorry, sir, before I cut you. So what would be the duties of the 6 executive directors?
What are you talking about? Do you know the size of tax administrator in a country? They should be there. They are correct.
Does this not, because I will go back to the Stephen Orosoye report. If you're saying we should have 6 executive directors and probably 6 or 1 inspector, it will still be in the need to cut down on the cost of governance.
Hello, please. That's administrative departments. Please. It's correct.
It's correct in that regard.
Simple. And it's not tax inspector. It's not the same thing. What will happen is that the way they are putting things and the way they are pointing at something like all this waiver should be taken care of, not through the presidency, they are correct because the president don't do anything. What he do is whatever you were able to obtain from ministers and agencies is what will give you waiver or holiday. But because of the because of the lie. That is because I like to always come down so people will not say they are speaking grammar, because the wuru when they there no good. You understand? So there's no need of allowing somebody with that type of capacity to go and clear a land, claim that he's building something at Ekpoma, and end up not even having a factory, and whoever is giving to him to import chemicals and materials to sell, raw materials to sell. I am telling you 80%.
Without no actual production.
Nothing is going on. Like the target before was that we want them to thrive so that they can be able to give us job. It's not happening. And because federal revenue can be sorted out, they cannot query you because they're not even the one that gave you whoever.
You know,
they can't.
Mr. Philip, when we talk about these tax reform bills and the adoptions of certain recommendations that have been made, I like to relate it to the practicability of everyday life of Nigerians. Not just talking about the figures, not just talking about the technicalities, but let us break it down for every single Nigerian to be able to understand. One of the major things that were done there is an extension of income tax exemptions for specific agricultural businesses. Earlier we had spoken about military officers, and all of that being exempted from taxation. But how about agricultural businesses? At a time when the country continues to grapple with food insecurity and all of that, we recently saw the Minister of Information and National Orientation saying that the policies of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has made food prices to come down, as well as fuel prices and all of that. How will this impact agricultural businesses, and how will this impact the life of the common and ordinary Nigerian on the street who just wants to feed himself and his family?
Until we make money internationally. So the reason why I say I'm comfortable that it will happen is that the only thing hooking Nigeria like this is to give us tax inspector. One is that it will grant us to be able to operate to connect to the world. That's the one that is not, nobody is even going that side. So whether they are saying that I'm asking to come and scrutinize federal revenue should have been a primary thing, because the real truth is that to collect our fair share internationally is still what nobody's going close to, and it's
but we're not talking about international now.
No, it's important.
Yes, you will get to
telling me how do we get money to cover the shortfall?
The shortfall, and my major question is based on these agricultural businesses that will be exempted from taxation. Do you subscribe to this motive?
Yes and no.
Why?
Now, before you ask tax from somebody, you have to give him reason for the person to survive. One, in fact, don't give somebody rice, give him agricultural mechanism to farm.
I mean, he will farm his rice.
Chemical, you don't need all this palliative, you don't need it. So, but the importation they did without custom duty, that makes some food price to crash. And that was even why food come down. People were just shouting, I was laughing. This government may have good intentions, yes, but the temporary measures cannot be celebrated by me. Some people can celebrate, but not me, because those things is bound to finish. Yeah. Like now, we cannot supply Dangote locally because we are trying to use the I'm saying two things, but please forgive me. We are using our crude oil to pay the upfront money we collect from oil companies. So how will you be paying back with oil, and you have enough to supply the local refinery? But that is not my area. Let me talk about what concerns me. Look, the VAT may go back to 3 or 5% because if you do the right thing, all this small money you see, Nigeria is the highest in the world. Whatever thing you see we consume in a day that you are seeing is supposed to be nothing less than 30 trillion naira a year. VAT, any transaction, anything only this is what you are seeing is a lot of money, but because there was no account to it, and they know that since I was saying nobody have ever come up from federal to counter it. Do you know the other day they were called upon oil companies, what about 45 of them? I was expecting your call, you didn't call me. And I was laughing. They said they are owing. Eventually everybody in Nigeria, everybody in the oil sector is owing. The whole, you know that they are multinationals, most of them are oil companies, the heavy ones. Then, if they are the one not paying royalty, and I went and asked, whatever thing I would do, I will argue about, I must find out the truth. The federal that collect that money. It is in their jurisdiction to collect such money. Now, Then now you open a shop, you put one boy, you put to servant to collect, to be selling for you. The servant sell on credit. You now leave the servant somewhere and now go to carry police to be searching the customer that come and buy credit. The first person to be in the cell or to be scrutinized was the salesperson. So federal up to now, the National Assembly have not invited them. They have not made a comment about 9-point-something trillion naira, which I know is far less to what is happening. Because the Auditor General that brought this complaint don't even have the accurate account. It's not what he got. Few that what he got, that was what he was declaring. If federal revenue was sincere like they claim, they always claim, they should be there. They want to even report. Okay, what make them to keep leaving people for years or a year? A company, eventually every company, and they say about 4 or 8 are accepted to pay their own by August, and about 4 or 3, like Chevron or is it Mobile, are the one that actually paid their royalty, which means 80% or so did not pay, and they are saying that they are not owing, because the people who accept to pay have accepted their owing. The greater number of them say they don't even know how they are owing, and the person that will clear their owing is not there. Is
this a lack of communication?
It shouldn't happen. Let us not talk about communication here. It shouldn't happen. The reason why federal revenue cannot come is that they are part of that fraud. Let them get angry. If the
These are very strong allegations.
Very clear. Listen to me. If tax inspector is there, I always want them to counter me. If a tax inspector is there, do you know that it will not even happen in the first place? Because every other company have account. If you don't pay, we commit it in your account. You are not joking with countries alive. Don't joke with us.
Now Mr. Orji, this is the concern I had raised earlier when you said that the issue I had raised earlier was an issue of administration. But we know that component 2 of this tax bill is on the tax administration bill in itself. You continue to reiterate the need for this tax inspector general. Are we going to have one tax inspector general in Nigeria, or are we going to have it split across the geopolitical zones? I was asking to understand the working relationship between the executive directors and this office of a tax inspector general to plug loopholes, much like the one you just mentioned.
No, the other people, I always tell you that directors are administrative directors. Please, collection of tax is not tax.
But
again, we have only one tax inspector, even in the US that is more than us. You will have, even they are going to be, to tell you how the organogram is, because I won't tell you.
That's exactly what I'm asking. It's your idea. You don't want to share before it's
it doesn't concern you now until you give me the power.
But you know, if we don't,
let me treat it for you so that you take care of it. Do you know that every state will have an office? I mean the tax inspector office.
Yeah.
State controllers or whatever they will call. The tax inspector will have deputies into the 6 departments that made up that department. Is audit, investigation, audit, inspection and evaluation, office of the ombudsman, office of the chief counsel, and the office of mission support, because you cannot hire police from outside. That mission for
enforcement.
That is enforcement. So, but before you see them come out, there must be reason to go for field work.
Much like ICPC
field
or EFCC and all of that.
You don't need to know say not themselves. But the thing is that any country that apply it are happy, because
there are no loopholes.
Money will flow. You don't need to beg somebody to pay. One, people are paying. They say they see no money. Let us see why we are not seeing money. Let all this, anything that somebody pay, let make bank somewhere. And the way the server that keep it is not in your office alone. It will happen in federal revenue, but it will hit the server of the tax inspector, who don't touch money, who don't even want to see what you are doing with
He has no business with the collection.
Nothing money. He will be there, and let me tell you, every 3 months, or quarterly, yes, 3 months, they will take their report to the National Assembly and even tell them the area that the discrepancies, the area that things are not done well in one way or the other, either against government or against the people, they will be treated, because the information is not there for the National Assembly to be able to do any. They say if they can oversight any other agency, not federal revenue. And it's too bad that we are creating police every day and forget about the main police. Do you know why this one is the main security of the country? Is that it will take care of security too. All this shouting of knowing how terrorism do money. Is it not the same track that is current as a
but Mr. Orji, the urgency in which this matter needs to be treated is a slim window in which it's closing. Both arms of the legislature have done public hearing on Tuesday. The rest might pass this for third reading, pending assent to President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. But the Red Chambers is yet to submit his recommendations. Do we have any chance to get this recommendation in before it is passed at third reading in both chambers? Do we have a chance?
Which of the
recommendation for Inspector General?
No, it's a separate bill now. It doesn't concern whatever happened there.
It can be done afterwards.
Very, very much now. People are worried yesterday were laughing. Look.
But that's the concern, because
no,
as though if it passes this window.
No. That inspector can come later. Let them do that.
But for now,
the platform they are doing now is okay.
It's okay.
The only thing that will collapse is that there's no way ombudsman that's supposed to be a conflict resolutor will go and be anywhere else.
But what Mr. Philip,
that is not an issue.
You continue to argue that the FIRS is corrupt. You have said it here countless times, and your recommendations are for a tax inspector general to have to be created independently of FIRS to checkmate some of these excesses and all. How certain are we that eventually this tax inspector and the entire office and all the departments you had mentioned will not also fall in line with the corruption that you are citing is inherent in the FIRS?
The reason why I love the way you ask questions is that it will allow me to tell you what is happening. Look, tax inspector in any country don't have power to be corrupt. You know
how do you judge that morality?
Listen now.
Okay.
Their operations is like Interpol. The control is internationally done. You dare not do anything stupid. They are watching you from there. So that is why you hardly hear any country's tax inspector being indicted. They are so special because what they are doing is not just you. The information is, they call it automatic information. You don't need to beg me to have
There's no human interference.
Bam! So if Nigeria join there, we make money internationally, that's separate. And it will even stop all this thinking whether somebody will come and get the appointment as federal revenue and they'll be clapping, celebrating it in the community for what? They give somebody a big responsibility instead of telling him, God help you to come out from this. They now celebrate him, saying they don't settle him. They don't settle him.
But do you think that...
I don't know what you know.
Why I'm asking is because the executive directors might be celebrated when they get appointed, but that's a story for another day. In keeping with... you see where I was going to earlier. But in keeping with this conversation, some of the high points in this harmonization have also been greeted with skepticism. The Nigerian Customs Service also, as part of the agency, is not so happy with how far recommendations have gone, especially in harmonization. This joint revenue service, the Nigerian Customs Service says it would in some way infringed on their powers.
They didn't say so.
I have a statement here.
There's a place, listen, the custom, the federal revenue to collect the revenue for custom. Nobody touched it. Custom win that case.
But going forward, they would not
the joint tax board, joint revenue board is not the same thing what you are trying to. You are putting two of them, they are not the same. Custom, nobody will touch custom because you already have a place you cannot be able to correct royalty of oil companies. You are going to ask for another man's job. Did you even do your own well? Forget it.
So for now, going forward, there will no longer be FIRS. It will now be the Nigerian Revenue Service, and
which is my bill.
Which is your bill, and now you feel that in terms of the customs targets, it would not be altered going forward.
No, custom will still operate the way they operate. Even the time he said, there was a time Taiwo was making the early stage of these particular bills. He said that governors and local government will not be collecting tax again. They will streamline tax.
That was the harmonization I was talking about.
It was jettisoned. You can't stop them from collecting their tax.
So going forward, they're still going to be collected.
Yes.
Why is FIRS hinged on placing its hands in certain key areas where it has no business?
Because they lost focus. Because they are fighting the tax inspector. They want to keep Nigeria busy with ambiguous policies that have nothing to increase our revenue. What do you talk about going to work for? No. Let us know why we are losing over whatever we are getting in the entire country in international tax. Why are they not mentioning it? Are they saying no? Why is Trump saying that they need to collect their taxes overseas? Do you know the implication of collecting international tax? You make money in different currencies, and all this complaint of dollar rise will die down.
It's been a force because when you go on social media platform for content creators now, they know it. Major content creators in Nigeria are now required to pay tax abroad in keeping with the new directive from President Donald Trump. But now let's talk about the one that affects all of us here. The food prices affected by some of those local government tax collectors who block the road to tax every vehicle that has a commodity on board. Nigerians were hoping that going forward this practice would be jettisoned.
It was a good idea or argument that my friend Taiwo brought. I agree. I understand the touting side of this matter is bad. But let me come. You must have a platform to fly. If you bring tax inspector, most of this will, because the governors will have no reason when they see the type of inflow, they will now have what we call tax court. America is the highest.
Does it eliminate touting, sir? Would it eliminate touting as well?
Mark my word. It was government that owned that touting. If they don't give you power, you don't tout.
Under the local government?
Yes. So why would they be seeing huge amount of money flowing in, and they want to tell the boys to go to the street, and they still go to the street to go and do what? And let me tell you, the other day Taiwo was in Lagos addressing people recently. He was saying that Lagos can make up to 1 trillion naira in property tax. Each time he speak, he will just go to what he used to talk. I know that there's money. If Lagos alone can make 1 trillion naira in property tax, do you know how many capital? Don't talk about a number that have up to 5 towns or 4 towns operating. But let's talk about Oka alone. Let everybody just be one state, one capital. Do you know the implication of the type of buildings and the elaborated buildings and expensive
high-rise buildings?
Expensive homes and the elaborated buildings in Nigeria will give us over 23
and how do you intend to tax this building?
Because that is where the expansion come in. You can't make any expansion without tax inspector. You can't.
But let's assume the tax inspector situation comes into play. My question is, how do you tax these buildings? Being that most of them might not be commercial buildings in that sense.
Hello. Let me tell you something. Do you know if you go to any local government, no matter even a state or even like where I come from, they are all data control now because they are in the whatever land or even the lands that are not developed is already in the what do you call it? Surveyor, what is that?
Surveyor General's office?
Office, yes. So before I talk about Abuja and other places that is moving, but let me just tell you. If you have information that's kept, if somebody know that there's accountability, all these things fall in line, because what the first thing that the tax inspector will do after their training, because they go for training, whatever is done in other clan is going to be done here, then you know that we will capture every of these things from lands. You don't need to just jump into going to be putting one sticker in people's gate to come and pay. You don't ask come and pay because the landlord knows, the landlords have their account. Whatever land you see have a landlord.
Yes.
The value, whatever thing is happening in the year, the value will have.
Are we talking about ground rent? Are we talking about rental tax?
Whatever thing they are doing, you are seeing that they will come and give it to this my friend here because he was a friend to governor. He helped him during the campaign. He will just give him to go and collect. When the man give what he was told to be bringing, he will take the rest. Or maybe when he's fine with what he think he collected, he will stop collecting. There was no guidance because it was not properly done. But if it is government organized and there's data to it, and somebody know that whatever thing he's doing is in somebody separate, independent, the tax inspector will make sure that we capture anything called building in Nigeria.
Digitally?
Yes, because it will end, they will not even pay a lot of money that the landlord will refuse to pay. It will be too small. It will flow like water. Very little amount that the landlord would not even like to see you asking him to pay. Do you know some landlord pay bribe to what would have supposed to have paid as tax? They will harass you because nobody to intervene for you. Like now they are creating tax tribunal. Are you going to make a tribunal where you don't have what will make you to prove the person that you are owing? You are just trying to intimidate the person. If you harass him, you go and pay. Or you use federal land revenue. Federal revenue normally use EFCC or ICP to write somebody letter. What type of nonsense is that? Military approach. intimidating taxpayer. Taxpayers in Nigeria have no right. And what I'm advocating for will take care of all these things. And people will see the life easy. All this may be going to collect money from the state fund or whatever. The reason is because it's nonsense. You didn't even do your own well. You're talking about somebody's own.
No, but on that TED fund issue, it was also on paper that the money that is supposed to fund TED fund is supposed to come out from 10% of the annual generated revenue under FIRS. Now, you're condemning it largely. Some students are celebrating because it's the first time they are getting tuition on loans to acquire education of
if federal government is claiming that they are
taking 10%,
the economic forget that thing. The economic this thing is working, and they want to. Must they go and kill somebody so that they'll be able to do it? Do they know? Don't you know that particular fund there is doing a different thing entirely, particular infrastructure in our schools? So if there's a positive outlined operation they want to do, why are you going to shut somebody's own down? Create it, let us see. Make money. Don't go and tell me that you will kill, maybe you kill some of your children to feed the rest. That's the implication.
Now, Mr. Orji, we have 10 minutes. I'm happy you've raised this issue of property tax. Probably the authorities concerned are listening. We'll still wait for the bill on the Inspector General. But whilst that is the conversation, there's one thing we're blessed with across states in Nigeria. It's solid minerals.
Yeah.
Now, one of the recommendations yesterday was the increment of solid minerals royalty. It was formerly at 3 to 5%. It's now been increased to 7.5 to 10%. Please, your take on this include
whatever amount you're going to do in the extractive industry have to come with tax inspector.
It still boils back
you
to
can't
your
do it now. You don't have the information. Let me tell you. Do you know we are yet to have an organized way of mining? For sure, what we have is illegal mining everywhere. How can you do that? I have written letter to the office of the Minister of
solid minerals,
because I know that if they would have allowed me, forget about whether somebody is this and this income. Look, information from the Bible said that Joseph was from prison, a foreigner, and Pharaoh allowed him to come and teach him what to do. Don't forget about Philip Orji not being one of these people in the government. It doesn't matter. The advice is just a simple advice for the good of the country.
How do we streamline the mining sector?
When you do that in the mining sector, let me tell you that all the control is internationally done. Profit shifting, base erosion, all these operations that are happening here, they are not even in the system.
We are proffering solutions to these sort of problems, again with the form of technicality that you keep talking about. However, when we want to address these issues, we will not rule out the issue of insecurity, artificial insecurity that continues to hover around these certain areas, especially in the northwestern Nigeria or northwestern part of the country that has large deposits of natural, solid minerals like gold, diamond, and all of that. We know that most of the insecurity situation around that area is surrounding the mining activities there, which allows for illegal mining. Don't you think that should also be tackled first?
If you want to tackle insecurity, you don't have tax inspector that will do it. You will not do it. I will still tell you. They wear one. Let me tell you something. Profit shifting,
okay,
base erosion, whatever thing you see, any fraud in tax evasion and the terrorist financing, they wear one cloth, they wear one shoe, they enter one vehicle. They even wear one cap. The reason why is that if you are able to do, let me tell you, whatever I'm saying is a case study. Look at the book I told you I wrote. Okay. These things are here. I am tired of talking now. I developed it to become a book. This thing is teaching about you. There is a catch them young tax transparency and accountability initiatives that will start from our secondary schools, so that the children will not be calling our leaders thieves. They will even wish them to go and die in plane. A little boy of 9 years. Let the children know from secondary school that they are not evil. What they need to do is to tell them they bring a genuine argument to create environment that will give us that security.
What's the name of the book, Mr.
The book is Global Tax Hits. It's going to be launched. Global
Tax Heist, Catch Them Young, Tax Transparency and Accountability Initiative.
Yes.
By Orji Philip Orji.
Yes.
Well, Mr. Philip, you seem to be going really quite far with your advocacy for you know, better understanding of the tax
Do you
system,
know
especially in Nigeria.
Do you know that our schools, no school, our tax education is not in our school curriculum, and we are talking about survival.
Well, it's an important conversation we'll revisit in due course. In the interim, we must commend you for your advocacy. Good luck with the Tax Inspector General bill. Whilst that is the case...
Independent Revenue Inspectorate Agency of Nigeria, not the tax inspector. But because the reason is that, let the owners of this tax be part of the operation. By the grace of God, we will generate over 100 trillion naira per annum. So we no longer talk about paying minimum wage with the
70,000 naira.
So you can pay 500,000
minimum wage,
and you'll be fine.
But everybody is
very
optimistic. Quite huge and ambitious calls. But it's on this note that he has also highlighted the need for education to start in schools, and that there be sustainability in our tax education, which is not in the curriculum as it stands.
Yeah.